Hello, welcome to Boardgame Basecoats, and today we are unboxing Villainous, Perfectly Wretched, or Wretched. Got this through the Japanese Amazon site for about $35, and our three villains here are Pete, Cruella de Vil, and Mother, I can never remember her name. I think it was Cruella that everyone's been really waiting for. I remember watching 101 Dalmatians in the theater as a kid, and it just kind of creeped me out. As you can see, the box here had no wrapping, and it was beaten up pretty bad. Actually, all of my Villainous boxes have been destroyed, so I probably will not be keeping this box anyway. So first of all, we've got our instructions. So the game plays pretty cleanly. If you haven't played the game before, how it's basically set up is you have a villain, and each villain also comes with another deck, which has some heroes and events. And so basically, you have your own foils that'll be going against you in each set. And here are all the sets, and I do have all of them up to this point. Completionist went ahead and got this one too. Although I am kind of curious about Pete, because he's our, I believe he's the first black and white character, because that's one of the things about the game. They really have this cool aesthetic. And these are called the villain movers, so these are made out of a clear plastic, and these are very stylized. So this is supposed to be Pete. They're all very distinct, so it's kind of cool that they have these huge custom resiny type things. Cruella here, of course, got this split black and white thing. It kind of reminds me of an octopus, but that's cool. And our final one here is that Mother whatever. Looks like a sea anemone to me. Alright, so because of this particular stylization of these figures, they all kind of resemble sea creatures to me. These are the boards. So one way to kind of imagine the boards is a layout of locations for each of the movies. So really, when you're playing Villainous, you're essentially playing a movie. So here, of course, is Cruella de Vil. Look at that art. Okay, notice now Cruella's board is red. All right, and here's Mother Gothel. Oh, nice colors. All right, she's my favorite. I like brown anyway, but those colors really just pop. So that one looks really cool. And then, of course, we have Pete. So this kind of came out of nowhere. So actually, here's the one I'm curious about. Yep, and they're keeping that black and white and gray tone aesthetic. So that's really cool. So I really got to admire the game. It's got elements that unify within each character and then across all of the games. So if you really are into that sort of thing, I mean, this is really a great series of games to get into, because they have made that effort really to make them different and unique. So it's very cool. Anyway, this big old pack of stuff. So here's a Rapunzel Tile. And so because all the characters play differently, they might have slightly different components as well. These are the villain guides. So this basically tells you how to play the villain. Now, if you've been watching my unboxing videos, you know that what I like to do is I like to wrap all of the stuff belonging to one player together in a Ziploc bag, and then I will toss it to him at the beginning. This is definitely a game that facilitates that. And so as you can see here, it has strategies for how to go forward. We have the goals, specifically talks about their powers, and in this case, their special setup. So each character does play differently. So that's definitely a cool thing about the game as well. These are reference cards. Now, all of the games do have these, but if you look on the back here, these are specific to this set, so that's kind of cool too. So it's not like you could swap them out, although the symbology is pretty universal. So let's go ahead and start popping through the cards. One of the cool things about the game is the art, okay? As I try to find this pull tab, is the art. Nothing is a screen grab, as far as I know. They've actually made the effort to draw them again. And one of the cool things about this is that it really helps to unify all of the sets. So in this case, we have this really old black and white source, and then we have animated sources, and then we have digitally animated sources. So look at the backs here. Notice Pete has this black on one and then this kind of ivory color on the other. These white ivory cards are called the Fate cards. So all of the sets have these kind of white cards. They have hero cards, effect cards, hero cards, effects cards. Ooh, look at that, it's Mickey. But yeah, if you look at this art, these aren't screen grabs, they've actually redrawn it, but it doesn't look old, you know what I'm saying? It really, comparing this with something newer, they really do fit together. Now, these darker cards are the villain cards, and if you look at the borders, so where all the text is at the bottom, so compare it between the villain card and the fate cards. There's a unification there within this villain set, but across all of the sets, they all got a similar art style. The icons, of course, are the same. So look here in the top left corner, there'll be costs there. All right, so those symbols are the same. So it's really neat that you can pick up a character and really get a feel for that world, get a feel for that character and how those heroes interact. Let's go ahead and check out Cruella de Vil's cards. Where was I going? Oh, so one of the things is, if you think of most card games, so there's a style of card game where you're essentially playing cards to hurt other players. And it's really easy to get into that trap. Oh, look at that. Look at these nice colors for Corella. So again, they all have the ivory, but she's gone for this red. So it's easy in the card games to really just kind of attack other players, and then build your deck to do that. So in this game, though, that doesn't happen because you're coming with your own foils. You're coming with the heroes that will mess you up. There's Pongo. He's coming to get you. And there's the Colonel. All right, so that's kind of cool. So you really have a game that has a good amount of interaction, but you're not messing anyone up or focusing on that so much as far as a strategy, I find. And that's just cool. So now Pete's deck, of course, was very old. Cruella de Vil here, wow. Saw this in the theaters as a kid, completely freaked me out. I wasn't into dogs anyway. Yeah, so this one didn't really do much for me, to tell you the truth. But looking at this art, it looks so clean. Right up next to those Pete cards, I think they look great. So I don't know if I haven't actually checked. I don't know if they have one artist doing all of these or all of them really working together to make it happen, but that art really does look good. And so interestingly here, this last pack of cards, Mother whatever her name is, Mother G. So this, of course, was not just a regular animated, but a computer animated series. Okay, look at her backs. So again, they have this stylized look on there, so they are different. But again, fake cards are the same color. So check out this art. So again, not screen grabs. These are not the digital art. This looks like the hand-drawn art, and because of that, ooh, hey, nice floating glide. So key scenes, yes. It really gives this game a great unified look that you just don't get if you were to have screen grabs and laying them next to each other. But for this game, they look great. So as you see here, they got major events from the movie. I remember these scenes. So the 101 Dalmatians, saw it in the theater as a kid, never watched it again. And it's funny, though, I remember as a kid thinking, at some point they're going to have Rapunzel. Is it just me, or did it bother anyone else that they didn't actually call the movie Rapunzel? I mean, is that just not a marketable name? Call it Tangled or whatever? But anyway, so it was kind of cool to finally be like, oh, there it is, finally, Rapunzel. But it was an okay movie. There's our hairbrush. All right, cool. So there we go. Now the last bits here. Let's talk about this tray. All right, so here's the insert. As I said, my other boxes have been destroyed, lost to the winds. But let's check this out. So card in there, a little bit of wiggle room. but there's really just no point in my case to keep this one box when all my rest are destroyed. Anyway, we've got here a bag of miscellaneous tokens. So, these are Pete's goal tokens. So again, each player, each villain will play slightly differently. So they often will have special tokens like this. That again is detailed in their little villain guide. And it really just differentiates the way they play, and it's really kind of cool. Now, one of the things you really have to keep in mind is that because they all play differently, essentially there's one set of rules that unifies the entire game, but they do play differently. Here's Corella's puppy tokens. They do play differently, and because of that, some are more difficult to play. Others are not. Now, of course, I haven't read through the rules and the guides for these folks, so I don't know where these guys fall into that spectrum. Let's check out the puppies, though. All right. Now, here on this side, as near as I can tell, so Radcliffe House there, these are the locations on Corella's board, so I assume there are puppies spread throughout, I'm assuming, and then you got to collect them all, maybe, I don't know. And there are numbers on there, so some say 11, some say 22. I'm assuming this adds up to 101 on some point. Now on the red side, I don't think I go through it here, I just show the one. It actually has some of the puppies named. I thought that was kind of a nice touch. Alright, now if you've been playing the game before and you have collected them, these power tokens, yeah, they kind of work as a currency, and you'll have a ton of them. Here's the fate token. I think this, I've never actually used it. I think it is for games with like 6 players or so. I would never do that. I've never played this game with more than 4. And again, I do have all the sets. Each set is completely standalone. You don't have to get them all. What I would recommend to folks is if you see a set that has a character you like or a movie you like, get that set. There you go. And it'll come, and these smaller sets come with 3. But they can be combined. So I'll be bagging each of these into their separate little packets so that I can toss them to the players and they can pick their favorites, and that'll be awesome. All right. And it was awesome of you to stop by and watch. Thanks a lot. Bye.